Prime Minister's visit to the Chief Justice of India's residence for the Ganesh Puja is creating a lot of buzz around whether this is appropriate, whether this is something that can be questioned, whether there is a question of fundamental right of freedom to practice one's religion, and the question of whether the Chief Justice can be seen with the head of the executive on an occasion like this, which, of course, as we say, it is a private occasion, but questions are still being raised about its appropriateness. To discuss this, I have with me today Senior Advocate Sanjay Hegde joining us on Viewpoint. Good morning, Mr. Hegde. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's begin with this basic question now. I can see a lot of reactions coming in saying that we've lost the confidence on the independence of the CJI and the separation of power is compromised. How do you view the reactions coming to Mr. Modi visiting the CJI for Ganesh Puja?
Well, these reactions should have been anticipated. It is not as if the Chief Justice and the Prime Minister do not meet on very many occasions. There are ceremonial occasions, there are personal occasions also. There are occasions like marriages and funerals where nothing is taken amiss. But this was a private religious celebration at the Chief Justice's house. The Prime Minister then visits the Chief Justice's house and participates in the religious function, in a sense, almost elevating one religion over another, saying that this is an approved religion in which both high constitutional functionaries can publicly participate.
But isn't this in private capacity? Isn't there a private life that both individuals are entitled to, which of course now in the age of social media gets publicized? But what if the argument comes that this is something that they have every right to as individuals, even to be friends as two individuals?
As individuals, you are entitled to be friends. As an individual, you have a right to worship of your choice in your house, but
yes,
you do not cease to be what you are, your official capacity. And if it is publicized, if videographers and photographers are taken along and it is spread out, then it ceases to be within the realm of privacy. The private zone has been forsaken for a public function. Now the thing is that, as I told you, that there are certain private functions where, as matters of courtesy, people attend and nothing is taken amiss. But you had the Prime Minister visiting the Chief Justice's chamber and then looking into courtroom number 1 in the presence of other judges, and that too was taken amiss. Shortly thereafter, the Chief Justice concerned gave judgments in several matters, and then later on went on to be nominated to the Rajya Sabha. This appearance of impartiality gets compromised. One must compliment the Prime Minister. He's a very smart politician. By going to the Chief Justice's house, participating in a private function, he very well knew that there would be an uproar. That uproar.
So the politician will not exercise restraint, but what about the Chief Justice of India? Are you telling him that he was the one who should not have been seen hobnobbing with political entities, let alone the Prime Minister, with so many of these very highly contentious cases pertaining to the central government pending in court? Are you saying that faith in judiciary is what is going to be questioned or is liable to be questioned?
It will allow people to question it, and this reaction should have been anticipated, and this meeting was entirely avoidable. Let me tell you a story about.
Who should have avoided it? The CJI should have avoided it.
Point.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story about a different Chief Justice and a different Prime Minister. Chief Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya had been sworn in, and there was a dinner in his honor. The Prime Minister said he hoped that relations between the executive and the judiciary would be cordial. Chief Justice Venkatacharya shot back. They can never be cordial. They can only be correct.
Okay.
So that is exactly where the problem lies.
So you're saying in spirit this is wrong. It's not as if there's been any violation of any rules per se, but
There is the Bangalore Declaration to which the judges themselves subscribed.
okay.
It has ethics for judges, and the judges have firmly subscribed to the view that their impartiality must not be in any manner be brought into the public contention.
Right. I was asking you, who would you hold more responsible to maintain the separation of power, the Prime Minister or the CJI? Who? Because after all,
Both,
this was a visit by the PM to the CJI's residence on invitation, apparently.
both. Well, if the CJI made a mistake in inviting the Prime Minister, then the Prime Minister made a mistake in accepting it. If the Prime Minister had waited for the next Ganesh Chaturthi, when Chief Justice Chandrachud would be a private citizen, nobody could say anything about it. If the if he had been visiting Ganesh Puja at the Chandrachud house for the last several years, then maybe all this uproar was avoidable and explainable. But at this particular juncture, when there are several judgments which are still awaited, when there is a Chief Justice at the point of retirement, this was an entirely avoidable controversy and optics. And the controversy should have been anticipated.
Right. From the side of the BJP, the response is that this is politicizing a private event. What would be your response to those who are saying that this is
not
just
a private,
because it's a puja, it has become a controversy?
It is not a private event if you take along photographers and videographers and release it to the press.
Right. At the moment, do you think that after this will have a bearing on the judgments that are to come? Then people will get an opportunity to say, okay, if there is any judgment in favor of the union government, or for that matter, the ruling party, that is not going to be taken with the same sort of faith as it would have been if this did not happen? Or you think that is extending it too much?
Well, people will say anything. And the judiciary has broad enough shoulders most of the time. But at the same point of time, you must realize that you carry your professional reputation in your own hands, and by your own actions, you must do nothing which will compromise them. Here, there is an appearance which does not make for the look of impartiality. Then now let's put it in another context. If there is one of those great matches, football matches, Manchester United versus Arsenal, and if the referee is wearing the scarf of Manchester United, how would Arsenal supporters view it?
Right. Yes, that's an interesting analogy that you've put out. But in conclusion, let me ask you this: that are you in that sense saying that the custodians of the Constitution, the judges, in their capacity as professionals, cannot be seen hobnobbing with politicians, even in their private capacity? They should not be ideally seen, because obviously now with cameras everywhere, how can you even escape being clipped?
No. Ideally, you should know where to draw the line. There is a Lakshman Rekha, do not cross it. And the credibility of the institution matters more than the individual reputation and the individual preferences of judges. Yes, it's an honor that great people come to your house, even if it is for Ganesh Puja. But that is an honor which should be strictly eschewed while you are in office.
This could have been kept private as well, isn't it? I mean, in my understanding, if somebody is coming to your house, ideally, if you are also holding very important official positions, you would not want to be actually, captured in camera. But do you think that there has not been that restraint as well? So there is a message there that there is no sort of line
Absolutely,
crossed here.
there has been no restraint on the part of whoever has made this a public event. I don't know which side made it.
Hmm.
I think it was entirely avoidable.
Right. Sanjay Hegre, thank you so much for joining us with that important perspective on the latest events. Thanks so much.
Thank you.